I'm Cynthia Rowland, and this is episode 114 of EO Radio Show. In today's episode, I'm happy to report on the recent promotion by the IRS of a free 10-course workshop on basic topics for individuals interested in learning about tax-exempt organizations described in Internal Revenue Code Section 501c3. The online training, available at stayexempt.irs.gov/workshop, covers a lot of basic federal income tax rules applicable to charitable organizations. Links to the workshop are included in the show notes. I'll summarize in this episode what the workshops cover, and all of these are very helpful to know when starting out. I'll also point listeners to additional episodes of this podcast that cover similar essential basic topics under state laws. Welcome to the EO Radio Show, your nonprofit legal resource. Brought to you by the Exempt Organizations Group at Farella, Braun & Martel. My name is Cynthia Rowland, and I'm a partner at Farella. I'm a business and tax lawyer with more than 30 years of experience advising clients on nonprofit and charity law. Through this podcast, our lawyers and guests will discuss a range of legal and business issues impacting the nonprofit world because we understand you work hard every day to make your community a better place to live and do business. Many of our programs focus on the basics, and at times we'll do a deep dive into narrow and complicated legal issues. Again, welcome to the EO Radio Show. We're glad you're here. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about an EO technical guide that was published on March 3rd, 2025, that references a free 10-course charity workshop that's available on the Stay Exempt page of the IRS.gov website. The purpose of these workshops is to assist Section 501c3 tax-exempt organization advisors to understand the federal tax-exempt rules and framework that they operate under. As I mentioned, the online training is free and it's available at stayexempt.irs.gov/workshop. People who listen to these episodes will learn about the benefits, limitations, and expectations for Section 501c3 organizations. Note that these workshops do not cover state law requirements, and that's a huge topic. There's a lot more to be aware of when starting a charity, but it is a really great workshop for understanding the Internal Revenue Code framework for exempt organizations. These virtual workshops include 10 topics of interest to 501c3 organizations and the people who are forming them and working in them. So here's a recap of the 10 episodes, and the links to all of them will be in the show notes. So the first workshop, which runs about 34 minutes in length, covers applying for Section 501c3 status. This course discusses eligibility, the benefits of exemption, how to apply for exemption, and what the organization can do while waiting for the determination letter. Now, the course moves along a little bit slowly. It's basically in the slideshow format, and it's an animated thing with voiceover. It's not terribly engaging, but it does provide some really good information, and it's a very good starting point for someone who wants to organize a charitable organization and really wants to start at the very beginning for understanding the tax rules. So the second workshop is Maintaining 501c3 Tax-Exempt Status. This one runs about 30 minutes. And it covers the activities that can jeopardize an organization's 501c3 tax-exempt status. So basically, what a little bit of the do's and don'ts for maintaining your exempt status. The third episode is not particularly exempt organization focused. It's really on employment issues. For most organizations, employment issues are going to be the biggest burden in operating a charity if you have employees. Not all do. So if you plan to be entirely volunteer run, you may not need to listen to the employment issues episode, but with that being said, employee issues are huge for nonprofits, so this is a really good one to keep on your radar screen. It runs about 34 minutes. If your organization has employees or volunteers, it may have tax responsibilities. So this course covers and explains how to report employee wages and the rules about volunteer gifts. The next episode, workshop number 4, covers the required disclosures. This 17-minute workshop explains which documents must be provided on request to the public and the penalties for noncompliance. Spoiler alert, those documents are the 1023 itself and any follow-up communications to the IRS that you have when you're obtaining your exempt status, and it's also the annual Form 990. The fifth episode is the longest in the bunch. This workshop is about 45 minutes, and it covers the Form 990 overview. Most tax-exempt organizations must file an annual Form 990 series return. There's the basic Form 990, There's the 990PF for private foundations, the 990EZ for some small organizations, and the 990N for the smallest organizations. This course offers the tips on which of those forms to file, how to prepare during the year so that you have the information at the end of the year when you need to make the filing, and how to avoid automatic revocation. Again, spoiler alert, if you don't file your required 990 for 3 years in a row, your organization's exempt status will be revoked. The next episode, workshop number 6, is on unrelated business income. This 25-minute episode helps the listener to determine if their organization has taxable income and how to report it. Just because an organization has a 501c3 determination letter, that doesn't mean that none of its income is taxable. So it's really important to know where the traps are and what might generate taxable income. The form that's filed on is the 990T, which I hadn't mentioned in the 990 overview course. But anyway, unrelated business income is also an important topic for many organizations. Episode number 7 covers political campaigns and charities. This 16-minute episode covers the ban on political campaign intervention. Political campaign activity can jeopardize the organization's 501c3 exempt status. This course provides the examples of prohibited activities and explains the steps an organization should take to avoid an inadvertent violation. Episode number 8 covers charitable gaming for exempt organizations. Many nonprofits generate income by gaming activities. For example, bingo games, lotteries, things like that. So this episode discusses the gaming rules under the Internal Revenue Code, the documentation required, and the possible tax implications. Keep in mind that many states also govern gaming activities. So if you're going that route to fundraise, be sure to check state, local, and tax law to make sure that you're in compliance. The 9th workshop is about the deductibility of charitable contributions. So this is a little bit of an aside, but relevant to those who are organizing a tax-exempt 501c3. It is only contributions to 501c3s are potentially eligible to be deducted by the donor as a charitable contribution deduction. This course explains what is deductible, what records the donor needs to keep, and how to report the contributions. This is relevant for the charity as well because the charity needs to provide an appropriate acknowledgement letter. The final workshop covers protecting the Social Security numbers for those who are filing the Forms 990. So that's an overview of the course. Many of these, we also have episodes on our YouTube channel and in all the other platforms for EO Radio Show that cover many of these topics and some of them in much more depth on both the federal and the state law. So look in the show notes for links to our related episodes on these topics. The final thing that I wanted to mention here is that the IRS does have a strong social media presence. So you may want to follow them on X. They have IRS News is a channel on X, and it has a Spanish language version. The IRS also has an IRS Tax Pros site on X. There are scam alerts that the IRS publishes and a variety of other things. So if you like to get your content from X, check out what IRS has there. IRS also has an Instagram channel, a YouTube channel, Facebook information, and they provide some LinkedIn updates. So that's come a long way in the last, I've been practicing in the area for 35 years. And a lot of this stuff used to be really difficult to access. So one of the really nice things about the era we're living in is that a lot of it is available on the internet. At least it is as of today. I'm recording this on March 5th, 2025. And I'll try to update this as we see more information come out from the IRS about its resources for taxpayers. So that's all for this episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for the links to these resources that I've mentioned and for the organized playlists on the basic charitable topics as well as some in-depth episodes. Be sure to check out the Farella YouTube channel for all of the charity resources in addition to the podcasts. I'm Cynthia Rowland, and you've been listening to EO Radio Show, your nonprofit legal resource, brought to you by the Exempt Organizations Group at Farella, Braun & Martel. If you have suggestions for topics you would like for us to discuss, please email us at eoradioshow@fbm.com. That's eoradioshow@fbm.com. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, make a difference.